Khrushcheva is a professor of international affairs at the New School and the great-granddaughter of former Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev, and she joins us now with more on what's happening. Nina, great to have you with us this morning. You know, the Trump administration appears to have been pushing for a ceasefire. You had Secretary of State Marco Rubio speaking with his Russian counterpart last week. But from your perspective, is the Kremlin really interested in that, or, as Volodymyr Zelensky says, just buying time?
Good morning. Well, Putin always said he's not really interested in ceasefire. He's interested in peace negotiations, so that hasn't changed. And so the more pieces united with the ceasefire on the Western Front, so to speak, the less Putin is going to be interested in it. So that actually, Putin's response has not changed at all. What's interesting about Donald Trump is he says that Putin surprised everybody. I mean, unless Trump is everybody, it only surprises Donald Trump, because Putin has been very consistent in what he wants and how he wants it. And that is going on as he announced it 3.5 years ago.
And the Ukrainian president has continued to call on allies to impose additional sanctions on Russia. But what's notable is that the Kremlin has been able to continue its campaign despite previous sanctions and restrictions. So how is Russia able to still get funding, still get weapons, still get troops, despite some of those limitations that have been placed on it?
Well, and I think that was a bit of a Joe Biden's and America's hubris, is that, you know, we're going to sanction from hell. I think it's over 3,000, maybe over 4,000 types of sanctions on Russia. It's just that idea that if America does something, that must really, in Hollywood, you know, it's if it does something, the bad guys should go fold and be defeated. That doesn't work this way. And, you know, there are countries that not necessarily support Putin or support Russia because they like Putin or like Russia for that matter. But that American hubris really bugs a lot of people, and it's about 100+ countries in the world. It is certainly difficult for Russia, but that in a sense gives also Putin a bit of a upper hand even with his own people, though of course sanctions did damage somewhat the economic environment. Is that, look, it's 3.5 years. They wanted to defeat us quickly. They wanted to destroy us quickly. They put all the sanctions in the universe, and yet Russia continues to exist and continues to fight, and in fact does have somewhat, not much, but somewhat of an upper hand on the battlefield. So there's more sanctions that are being offered and suggested. The Kremlin basically shrugs it off.
Yeah, the Kremlin possibly stronger than some people may have anticipated. Nina Khrushcheva, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thanks very much. CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang joins us now with more on this. Weijia, good morning to you. So it appears the president has been ramping up pressure on Vladimir Putin. The White House hinting at a major statement coming today. What do you make of that, and what might that be?
Good morning, Errol, and good morning to everybody. You're right. And President Trump, in recent weeks especially, has really ramped up his frustrations and his public criticism of Vladimir Putin. In fact, just last night when he returned here to the White House, he said he is very disappointed in Putin. And then parallel to that, he has been making some moves. For example, he says that he will be sending Ukraine Patriot missiles, which is a very powerful defense weapon system, one of the only ones that can intercept ballistic missiles from Russia. He says that the European allies will pay for those and then distribute them to Ukraine, which is just one example of other weapons that the president says NATO will also purchase and distribute to Ukraine, which kind of allows him to provide these weapons without directly giving them to Kyiv, which, of course, he has long expressed frustration about spending so much American money on this. In addition to that, we know that lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are pushing the president to support legislation that would enforce some really tough sanctions on Russia and penalize any country that continues to do business with them, especially when it comes to purchasing oil. So for Brazil, China, and India, they could face about a 500% tariff on their goods imported to the U.S. if they continue to purchase oil from Russia. That's in the bill that lawmakers are trying to get. And today, Errol, we know that the president is meeting with the NATO Secretary General. All of this expected to come up, and all of this designed to put more pressure on Putin to come back to the negotiating table.
Yeah, and we'll see if it's enough to materialize. Weijia, thank you very much.